Heists have always captured the imagination, whether it's in movies or real life. The audacity, planning, and sometimes bizarre circumstances surrounding these crimes make them both thrilling and terrifying. Some real-life heists, however, surpass anything Hollywood could dream up. These aren't your typical bank robberies. They are stories of wit, patience, and sometimes sheer madness. Here's a look at some of the craziest real-life heists that stunned the world, featuring bold criminals who almost got away with it. 1. The Great Train Robbery of 1963. The Great Train Robbery remains one of the most famous heists of all time, not just because of its sheer audacity, but also due to the incredible planning and precision involved. On August 8, 1963, a gang of 15 men, led by Bruce Reynolds, managed to stop a Royal Mail train in the middle of the English countryside. Their goal? To steal what they thought was a small fortune in cash. What they found was beyond their wildest dreams: over £2.6 million in banknotes, the equivalent of around £50 million today. The gang had meticulously planned the heist, using signals to stop the train and overpowering the crew. They fled to a remote farmhouse, where they hid for several days before splitting the loot. But, as with many heists, things eventually went wrong. The police discovered the farmhouse hideout, complete with fingerprints and other evidence. Most of the gang members were caught and sentenced to long prison terms. Still, the sheer size of the haul and the daring nature of the robbery cemented it in history as one of the most legendary heists ever. 2. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. When it comes to audacity, few heists can match the 1990 robbery of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. It's been called one of the largest and most puzzling art heists in history, and to this day, the stolen art remains missing. In the early morning hours of March 18th, two men dressed as police officers tricked the museum guards into letting them inside. Once in, they handcuffed the guards and spent 81 minutes leisurely walking through the museum, selecting priceless works of art to steal. They took 13 pieces, including works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Degas paintings that, if sold today, would be worth over $500 million. Despite an extensive investigation and a $10 million reward for information leading to the recovery of the art, no one has been charged and none of the pieces have ever been recovered. The heist remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the art world. 3. The Banco Central Burglary in Brazil. The Banco Central Burglary in Fortaleza, Brazil, is an example of patience and planning on an entirely different level. In August 2005, a group of criminals managed to steal an incredible $70 million from the bank's vault, making it one of the largest bank heists in history. How did they do it? They spent 3 months digging a tunnel nearly 250 feet long from a rented house to the bank's vault. The tunnel was complete with electricity and air conditioning, allowing the thieves to work comfortably while avoiding detection. Once inside the vault, they removed 5 containers filled with cash. Despite their careful planning, the heist was eventually unraveled. The massive amounts of stolen money began surfacing, leading to the arrest of many of the gang members. But to this day, a significant portion of the loot has never been recovered, leaving the question of what happened to the stolen millions still unanswered. 4. The Antwerp Diamond Heist. When it comes to high-stakes heists, few are as daring as the Antwerp Diamond Heist. Dubbed the heist of the century, it took place in February 2003 at the Antwerp Diamond Center, located in the heart of Belgium's Diamond District. The mastermind behind the heist, Leonardo Notarbartolo, spent 2 years preparing for the robbery. He posed as a diamond merchant, gaining the trust of other traders, and studying the building's security system. The vault where the diamonds were stored was equipped with multiple layers of high-tech security, including heat detectors, motion sensors, and a lock with over 100 million possible combinations. Despite this, Notarbartolo and his team managed to bypass every security measure, entering the vault and stealing an estimated $100 million worth of diamonds, gold, and jewelry. Although Notarbartolo was eventually arrested, the stolen diamonds were never recovered, leaving authorities baffled by the complexity of the heist. 5. The Securitas Depot Heist. In February 2006, a group of criminals pulled off what was then the largest cash robbery in British history, the Securitas Depot heist. The thieves stole over £53 million from a cash depot in Kent, England. The plan began with the gang kidnapping the depot's manager and his family, holding them hostage while they gained access to the facility. Once inside, the gang tied up the employees and spent hours loading cash into a truck. The sheer amount of money stolen was so vast that they didn't even have room to take all of it, leaving behind an additional £153 million. Though many of the criminals were eventually caught and brought to justice, a significant portion of the stolen money was never recovered. The heist remains one of the boldest and most audacious robberies in modern history. The art of the heist, legends in crime. Heists like these capture our imaginations because they represent the ultimate challenge, outsmarting complex security systems, risking it all for immense rewards, and often living on the run. These stories remind us that, while crime doesn't pay in the end, the boldness and ingenuity behind some of the most famous heists in history are undeniably remarkable. They show us how, sometimes, reality can be stranger and more thrilling than fiction. Whether driven by greed, thrill, or a desire to outwit the system, these criminals took risks that few would dare, leaving behind stories that continue to intrigue and inspire.